The thunder of engines shook the ground as the steel guardians surrounded the gas station. The four thugs stood frozen, their laughter gone, replaced by sheer panic. The old homeless woman, Martha, watched in disbelief as dozens of bikers parked their Harleys in a tight circle around her and the men who had just hurt her. Diesel, the leader, shut off his engine and swung his booted leg off the bike. His presence alone commanded silence. He walked over slowly, his leather jacket creaking, his face a storm of anger barely held back. "You boys think you're tough?" he asked, his deep voice cutting through the noise like a blade. One of the thugs tried to speak. "It was just a joke, man." Diesel's glare silenced him. "A joke? You call hitting an old woman a joke?" he said, stepping closer. The other bikers, big and bearded men with patches that read honor, loyalty, respect, formed a solid wall behind him. The thug's bravado vanished completely. Diesel knelt beside Martha and gently helped her stand. "You okay, ma'am?" he asked. Martha nodded shakily, clutching her torn bag. "They took my picture. Of my son," she whispered. Diesel turned back to the thugs. "Pick it up now!" The leader hesitated. That was his second mistake. In a single motion, Diesel took one step forward, and the thug scrambled to the ground, grabbing the photo with trembling hands. He handed it back to Martha, his face pale as a ghost. One of the bikers, a tattooed man named Tank, stepped forward and said, "Diesel, cops are 5 minutes out. Want me to hold him here?" Diesel nodded. "No one lays a hand on them," he said firmly. "But they're not leaving until they make things right." Turning back to the men, Diesel crossed his arms. "You like to humiliate people, huh? Let's see how it feels." He pointed to Martha's small cart, her life packed in rusted wheels and plastic bags. "You're gonna clean that cart, every piece, every crumb. You're gonna fix what you broke, and you're gonna apologize loud enough for every person here to hear it." The thugs looked around, dozens of bikers glaring at them, phones recording, engines idling. They knew they had no way out. One by one, they knelt on the pavement, picking up Martha's scattered belongings. Dust clung to their knees. Shame burned their faces. When they were done, Diesel made them face her. "Say it," he ordered. The leader swallowed hard. I'm sorry, ma'am," he muttered. "Louder," roared Tank. "I'm sorry," the thug shouted, voice cracking. Martha just nodded, clutching her son's photo to her heart. Moments later, police sirens wailed in the distance. Diesel gave a slight nod. "We'll let the law handle the rest." As the officers cuffed the men, one cop looked at Diesel and said, "Guess they picked the wrong day for trouble." Diesel smiled faintly. "There's no wrong day for justice, officer. Just the right people to deliver it." When the bikers left, Martha stood by the roadside, Diesel's jacket still draped over her shoulders, safe, warm, and finally seen. It was a bright, wind-swept afternoon in a small Texas town, the kind of place where everyone knew each other, and bikers often gathered at roadside diners to share stories and coffee. Across the street, near a worn-out gas station, sat an elderly homeless woman. Her clothes were torn, her shoes mismatched, and her silver hair tangled from the wind. Yet, she sat quietly, humming a soft tune to herself as she picked at a small loaf of stale bread. She wasn't begging. She never did. People often tossed her spare change, but she always thanked them politely and used it to buy food instead of pity. Her name was Martha, though most locals didn't know that. To them, she was just the old lady by the gas station. Then came trouble, loud, cruel, and reeking of arrogance. A black pickup truck roared into the station, music blaring. 4 young thugs jumped out, dressed in ripped jeans and smirks. They spotted Martha and exchanged nasty grins. "Look what we got here," one of them said mockingly, tossing an empty soda can at her feet. "Ain't she a sight?" Martha didn't respond. She simply tried to gather her things and move away, her trembling hands clutching her old bag. But the leader, a tall man with tattoos up his arms, stepped in front of her. "Hey, old lady, we're talking to you," he barked, snatching her bag and dumping it onto the ground. Out spilled a photograph of a young boy, a rosary, and a few coins. "Please," Martha whispered, her voice cracking. "That's all I have." The thug sneered. Then you've got nothing worth keeping. And before anyone could react, his hand struck her face. The slap was loud, sharp, and cruel. Martha fell, her knees scraping the gravel, her cheeks stinging as tears welled in her eyes. The men laughed, proud of their cruelty, unaware that they had just made the worst mistake of their lives. Because across the street, at Bill's roadside diner, over 100 bikers were watching. They were members of the Steel Guardians Motorcycle Club, a group known across the state for their charity rides and strong sense of justice. Their leader, Diesel, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a gray beard and stormy eyes, set his coffee cup down hard enough to make the table shake. "Did that punk just slap her?" he growled. "Sure looks like it," another biker muttered. Without another word, Diesel stood up. The others followed almost in unison. The sound of 100 chairs scraping against the floor echoed through the diner like a battle call. Within seconds, engines roared to life, Harley after Harley, thunder rolling down the street. The thugs looked up, startled. What they saw next froze the blood in their veins. A wall of black leather, steel, and determination headed straight toward them. Diesel led the charge, his engine growling like a beast. He didn't need words. The sight alone said it all. Justice was coming.